So this is the, we are mybasicincome.org. This is our first drawing to give away a 1-year limited basic income of $15,000. Which is super exciting. It's kind of ridiculous. It might be shaking a little bit, but it's gonna be fine. So we raised money back in, what was it, January we finished. And so we've been getting as many entrants from all over the world, from the Bay Area, San Francisco, East Coast, places in Africa, Asia, all over the world, literally. Getting people to understand more and more and learn more and more about basic income, which, because not everyone here is already in the fold, what basic income is the idea that instead of sort of attacking poverty and homelessness and joblessness from all these different sort of ad hoc ways, let's just end all those problems by just giving everyone a basic income that will cover all their basic needs, so that no one, whether or not they get in a car accident or lose their job or their spouse passes away, no one ever ends up on the street, no one ever ends up hungry. If you're an entrepreneur, you can start a business tomorrow without worrying about getting fired from your job or anything like that. It's just the idea is to give everyone a solid ground, solid footing to follow their dreams, to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, as we're all trying to do. So we're gonna have. So we're gonna have a couple awesome speakers, which I would like Greg. Actually, I'm gonna say thanks to Bill real quick. Thank you, Greg. My partner in crime on this, my co-founder, and there's also Anna Barnett is here somewhere, another co-founder of ours. Give her a hand. And the last one was Joel Aguero, also helps us, and he's on the East Coast right now, but I think he's watching on the internet, so he gets applause as well. And then also, thank you, Jim Q and Sanja Anandraman. And of the Universal Income Project for putting on the Create-a-thon where we met and giving us the space to do this kind of work. They hosted an event back in November that had, I think it was 100 different activists came together on basic income, a bunch of people in this room, and gave people space and time to actually come up with, form teams, and then execute projects instead of talking about them or advocating them for 20 years and never getting anything done. So that's awesome. That is totally awesome. And then also thank them for their continued support and for having a happy hour every 2 weeks for basic income, which if you're interested in basic income, you should be coming to that. Let's see who else is thank. We'll thank more people later. Greg, want to introduce the speakers? Yeah. Okay.
I thought of a couple more people to thank. I want to thank Mein Grundeinkommen, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing, the original version of this campaign in Germany. At this point, Mein Grundeinkommen has funded 43 people with a year-long basic income. So big thanks to them for kicking the idea off and coaching us at the Create-a-thon, which we did back in November. Also, thanks so much, Minna. Everybody here, working here, everybody give a big applause to the Minna Gallery. We'd like to encourage everybody to drink excessively so that Minna is well rewarded by helping us out and letting us do this event here. So thanks very much. So our first speaker is Natalie Foster. She is co-founder of Peers, and she's part of the Institute for the Future. She'll be talking about the changing nature of work and how that is prompting the rise of the universal basic income movement. Come on up, Natalie. Everybody give a big hand.
Can we just give one more round of applause to Greg and Cameron, please, for pulling this off? Good job, guys. It's really, really fun to be here. A couple of months ago was the Create-a-thon that I believe is the place where you guys met, right? And Jim and Sandia here put that on, and it's really cool to see a lot of the projects coming out of that. There was one held recently in LA too. And I think the vision is to hold a lot more places where people who believe in this idea can come together and think and do and create. So the universal basic income. It is a unconditional cash grant to every American. It's a very simple idea that is growing across the country, really across the world, in interest. And I think there's a couple of reasons why. I think it's not just automation, as a lot of people will say, but I think there's other trends at play. And the first is inequality. For the past 40 years, we've seen the decline of the American middle class, from wages to jobs. And at the same time, we've seen an incredible concentration in wealth among the top 1%, you know, to the point where headlines are being written around the world. Something like the Panama Papers happens and sort of explains how that is possible. To the point where, you know, for about 47% of Americans say that they could not pay for an emergency $400 bill without taking out a loan. Inequality has reached really sky heights, and I think that is a big reason why people are searching for answers, and many have landed on something like the universal basic income. But a second reason, I think, is the insecurity. So my day job is at the Institute for the Future, where I think a lot about the social policy for Uber drivers. So if you're an Uber driver, you essentially work outside of traditional employment. You don't have a boss, and therefore, what does paid time off look like for an Uber driver? You know, what does unemployment insurance or workers' comp? What does parental leave look like for an Uber driver? So we spend a lot of time thinking about, you know, what is the social policy that can solve this growing problem that creates a lot of insecurity. And the truth is that Uber drivers, is anyone here an Uber driver? Or drives on Lyft? One. That Uber drivers are very possibly extinct in the next 5 to 7 years as self-driving cars come online. Whether it be the CEO of Uber who's very invested in self-driving cars, or the CEO of Lyft, or Google, or Amazon, or Apple, any of the new self-driving car companies, this is going to be a technology that displaces a large number of jobs. In fact, McKinsey says that about 40% of tasks that Americans do right now can actually be done with off-the-shelf technology today, which drastically changes the way labor works. So insecurity in the workforce, I think, is another reason why people are looking for an answer like the universal basic income. But the third reason, I think, is about intersectionality. Today, people understand that there are a lot of reasons for a particular thing, and we don't tend to organize ourselves into silos of sort of activists of yore. You know, what was once seen as a feminist issue, for example, let's take maternity leave, is now understood to be about parental leave. It's about a man and a woman, and it's also about a child, or it's about a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. And it's about a child and their early education and their brain development. There's a whole host of things going on that was once considered just to be a feminist issue. So intersectionality and the understanding of systemic problems, I think, is one of the other reasons that we've seen a lot of growth in interest around the universal basic income. So there's been a lot of people recently coming out endorsing this, from the head of the World Economic Forum to former labor leaders Andy Stern and Robert Reich, who was the labor secretary under Clinton, to Milton Friedman and Michael Tanner at the Cato Institute on the right. Prominent people almost weekly coming out saying, actually, this is something we need to be looking at. Take this seriously, folks, from both the left and the right. But there's a lot of people, and I think you also see, other institutions taking this seriously. So Give Directly has announced a big study that we'll be doing in Africa, and Y Combinator, which Matt Krisloff is here from, has announced a big study it will be doing, actually today, they said, in Oakland, California, looking at the impact of giving money directly to people. But there are plenty of people who say, wait a second, this just really isn't American in its nature. I mean, this idea of giving someone something for nothing strikes at the very heart of what the United States was built around, sort of the American work ethic. But I think there are two answers to that at least lead me to believe that this is possible. One is in Alaska. Who here has heard of the Alaska Permanent Fund? A number of you. This is basically set up several days ago by a Republican conservative. The oil royalties coming into Alaska were actually owned by all Alaskans, and therefore the bounty from that should be distributed among all Alaskans. So they set up a permanent fund and distributed each year the royalties to every Alaskan. It's just debited into their account sometime between January and March. It's sometimes between $1,000 and $3,000, although much lower when the price of oil is low. And so it's an interesting model that actually is uniquely American, that says, in fact, this is something that we can do in the United States that is not dependent upon how hard or how long people work, but is in fact something people get, their life. And the second issue is something that my parents are very excited about. They will be getting a universal basic income in about a year. They're planning for, they've moved out to live near their first grandson. They're planning their jobs around this and their life around this. And it's called Social Security. When someone turns 65, they start getting a check. And of course, they presumably had to work for it up until that point. But they start collecting a check every month until they die. And that is an American idea that has solved poverty in many cases among older folks, which is an inspiring reminder. In fact, we just did a bunch of polling in San Francisco, and one of the things that polled quite high was this idea that maybe Social Security should be expanded for all. So I leave it there to say that I think there's a lot here that we can point to sort of point to the growing movement around the basic income. And the last thing I'll say is just why something like tonight matters. And here's why it matters. This has been a very popular idea among intelligentsia for a long time. Nixon had a plan. Our founding fathers talked about the universal basic income. Martin Luther King talked about the universal basic income. But there wasn't a popular movement built around this idea. It sort of stayed at the think tank level, and it was white papers written about it and passed around among other, think tank folks. But I think it's events like tonight where people are coming together around an idea that are happening all over the country and really all over the world that are going to be the way this starts to happen, is person by person, movement by movement. So I want to thank the folks who brought tonight together to happen. I want to thank the folks who make this meetup happen, because I think moments like this where we who are very inspired by this idea can all see one another and find one another are incredibly important. So with that, I want to turn it over to Gregory to introduce
our next speaker,
Milicent Johnson.
Thanks, Natalie. Okay, our next speaker is also from Institute for the Future. What can we say? We're about the future. So Milicent Johnson is an anti-poverty strategist and has spent her career brokering partnerships between the private and public sector for the benefit of low-income communities and communities of color. Please give a warm welcome to Milicent Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about why I'm here and why I am just really optimistic about the potential of universal basic income. I have spent my entire career working on poverty alleviation. I haven't solved it yet, but I am working on it. And in the process of that, I think I asked myself, why do I do this work every single day? And I realized that it's because there is this righteous fire inside of me that deeply believes that it is unacceptable in this society we allow people to fall into the indignity that is poverty. I've watched throughout my entire career as the greatest minds of our generation and future generations get saddled working multiple minimum wage jobs just to make ends meet, or saddled with so much debt that they can never ever pay back because they got sick. Or, we provide all of these off-ramps for young people to end up in prison, but no on-ramps to opportunity. And that's unacceptable. And the worst part of it is that it's completely preventable. It would be preventable if we actually had a social safety net. But in reality, we do not have a social safety net. I'm going to share a couple of really fun facts about poverty to help illustrate that for you. So the federal government has decided that poverty for an individual is if you make under $12,000 a year, and if you're a family of four, if you make under $24,000 a year. I think we are wrong with those numbers, but I'll move on. In the Bay Area, what those numbers look like actually for self-sufficiency are around $30,000 for an individual and around $80,000 to $90,000 for a family of four, which, it's still difficult, but it's there. If you can do just a little bit of simple arithmetic, you can recognize that there is a wide chasm between $24,000 a year and $80,000 to $90,000 a year. And the people that are caught in the middle of that chasm, those are the people that we're talking about when we talk about. We've decided that those people are on their own. They don't need help, right? So in this Bay Area, for example, a family of 4 needs to work 4 minimum wage jobs just to make ends meet. And so if one of the parents of that family gets sick or loses their job or life happens, they end up homeless. If they're lucky, they end up in a shelter or on somebody's couch. If they're not lucky, they end up on the street. But either way, they fall into what we call the trauma of poverty. We know that when people fall into poverty, it does something to them. As a parent, you can't provide for your child. As a child, you have an unstable living situation. And from that place, you're more likely to experience violence. You're more likely to not have the educational opportunities that'll help you transition out of poverty. You're more likely to experience chronic health issues, and you're more likely to actually die earlier than people just one zip code over from you. This is a celebration. They've taken us to a down note, so I'm going to take us back up. By just saying, again, this is unacceptable, and there are millions of people who are in. But when I think about universal basic income, I don't think that it's going to solve all of the isms, right? It's not going to solve racism, classism, sexism. But what it can do is to stop people needlessly falling into the traumatic experience that is poverty. And to me, stop that from poverty. Is that the future is unwritten, right? It's where we don't know what's going to happen. The future of work, what the future of society is going to but it's a cloudy future, and it really requires a bold vision and new frameworks from all of us. And that's what I think that this team is really bringing to light through this experience. They're giving us a tool, and they're giving us a new framework. And so I hope that you will enjoy yourself, have a lot of drinks, some questions, but also envision a world that's possible. For me, it's a world in which we have a generation of kids that doesn't have to fall into poverty. And I'm curious, and I hope to hear through the rest of the evening what that means for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Milicent. All right, so now we are going to sort of dive deep into what our project is about, which is about exploring how basic income impacts actual individuals. People have a lot of ideas about how it would change society, or what it would do to people, what it would do to them to just get free money from somewhere. Some people will say that they're going to sit on the couch and smoke weed. Other people will say that everyone will become the next Steve Jobs or an entrepreneur. And people's stories are much more interesting and diverse. Sorry about that. Of course, right? So, and part of our goal with this project is to explore what people's lives will actually, like how their lives will actually change, how basic income will impact them individually. And so throughout this process, we've been reaching out to lots and lots of people. Over 3,000 people signed up for it and getting their stories back. And then we connected with Ken, actually at the Create-a-thon, I believe. And then he and Tanya and Jared and some other friends, they wanted to make a film about someone who had entered into the sweepstakes. And so we looked for people that had interesting stories, that had stories that were representative of sort of the group of people that we had response from. We're also in the Bay Area, so we could go see them personally. And so we're about to show a film by their group, which is called the Tell It to the Sun, which is a basic income film collective. So we're going to show a little interview documentary here. Give me a second.
I feel. Yeah.
what really, what is everything that I'm excited to wake up and that is going to give me that feeling that I'm alive. I feel kind of this crisis right now at 31. All of a sudden, I'm just kind of questioning what I've been doing for the last 10 years of my life. I thought I'd be somewhere different at 31. I really didn't think I'd be waiting tables. My mom was sick from the time I was 14 to 22, and she died when I was 22. So I took jobs that I knew I could bullshit my way through, that I knew I could work at while simultaneously trying to heal myself. We live in a society that doesn't ask you what you want to do, but it tells you what you should do. There's a lot of other stuff that I would like to do that doesn't necessarily need to pay me, but that is also very benefiting to myself and society. I'm really interested in exploring fashion. I'm really interested in exploring flamenco, but I'm realizing that if you don't make big changes in your life, things are not going to change. I just feel at my absolute best when I dance. I just feel so happy and so in line with my purpose and my life. There's so many things that I love about flamenco. I love the strong women vibe. I love the power in the music, the power in the singing. And another element of that is the fashion. I started sewing a few months ago. I was just not satisfied with anything that I saw. That really was the thing that I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll learn how to sew and I should sew something. So I am working on a commission for a friend who has a vintage piece, a vintage flamenco dress that she needs restructured to look more modern and fresh. When I sew, I feel really connected to my mom. I feel really connected to this creative energy that comes through. I am actively saving to get myself into a position where I'm able to quit all of my part-time jobs and just focus solely on creative work. I'm excited because I feel like there's a lot of like hustle and passion. I'm ready to get myself to that next level, but there's a lot of fear around not being financially secure. And it's a funny relationship when you turn your creative work into something that needs to support you. My first reaction to learning about basic income was, oh yeah, what a great way to just heal society, because if people are just allowed to do what they actually want to do and they don't feel this pressure on them to work in jobs they don't like just so they can survive, well then how different things would be. If my mom could see me today, she would be so proud and so happy. She would be so happy that I am fearlessly going in the direction of my dreams.
So that was a pretty amazing video. And now, even better than that, we are going to have a Q&A with Ken, the producer of the video, and also Rose, if she's still feeling brave.
So this is really exciting. Like this moment, like Natalie was saying, feels like we're at this tipping point of changing the things that we don't like about society. And it's cool to be at that moment. So thank you for being here. I want to thank Juliana and Alan and Tanya, the filmmakers, for all collaborating together on this. I want to thank my wife, who's actually, as a documentary filmmaker, she helps support me. You know, that's kind of like my basic income. And of course, Jim and Cameron and everyone for hosting this evening, and Greg for creating this group. I'm excited to see who's going to win. I think so just stepping back for a second, you know, what you said, Milicent, really resonated with me, because for the past 7 years or so, I've made quite a few films around homelessness here in the Bay Area. And it's been something that I've also realized is something that our generation is responsible for finding a solution to. And the more I learned about basic income, the more it made a lot of sense to me to really pursue this as a very viable option for changing our society from the inside out. So it was interesting when Cameron came to me and said, you know, how can we tell a story around this? And we decided, you know, there's people who are living in poverty who need solutions, but there's also, I think what's really interesting, and Natalie alluded to this, is this idea of the American dream that is maybe not dead, but in desperate need of redefining. And so, you know, how do we think about, you know, you said it best in the film, you know, working a shitty job just so we can make ends meet, you know, and that's, I don't think, the way we want to live our lives. And I think if there's ways for us to, you know, kind of solve for that, the time has come, and that's exciting for me. So I thought it would be interesting just to use this as an opportunity to create a little bit of an engagement with the audience. We'd love to hear your stories. We'd love to hear your reactions. We'd love to hear your questions. And you know, I think no better way to do it than to talk with Rose and hopefully, you know, associate with her, because I have a feeling that a lot of us here who are creatives, you know, feel struggles very similar to Rose. I know I do. So maybe I'll start it off. I'd love for you to, you know, introduce yourself, as that, you know, like doesn't dive deep enough into getting into you. 3 questions. Okay, 3 questions. So I'll start it off. Can you maybe just talk to us and explain to us what it's been like for you to go through this transition of working your full-time job and then wanting to transition to having your own business?
Hello. So yeah, I work full-time as a waitress. I've done that for 13 years now. And it was actually through this process of doing this film and kind of looking at my life through other people's eyes and seeing how anxious I was when I got to work, and seeing how much time I spent doing my creative work as opposed to doing my regular job, and what a non-balance that was. It felt really out of whack. So I've since put my notice in at my job, and thank you. It's really exciting. And I'm planning on spending a couple months. I'm actually gonna have to move out of the Bay for a little bit, but it's a great opportunity to write and to do something different and to give myself some space. So yeah, it's been really inspiring to do this project. And yeah, did I answer your question?
I think so.
Okay, great.
It's a great answer too. It's like, it's been life-changing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to open up to you all to add comments or engage in a dialogue. Maybe you have questions for Rose. It's pretty special that she's here and can comment on maybe something that you saw in the film that inspired you. Or maybe you want to share something that can help us all think about basic income. Yeah. See how far this is.
I just wanted to say congratulations, Rose, on putting in your notice, and good luck to you on your new path.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Congratulations.
So, anyone else?
Hey, so you said you're moving out of the Bay, and I'm curious whether you're doing that just to create some distance. Or if it's not just to create some distance, what would it take for you to stay in the Bay and to do what you want to be doing?
It's a little bit, it's distance, it's wanting to get out of the hustle. I feel like I spent a lot of my day-to-day life just trying to, even like biking around the Bay is really stressful. You know, it feels like there's a lot of resistance and stress and things that should be fairly easy. And I'm looking for just more of a clear head and more time and more space. And hello? Okay. And yeah, you know, I grew up in the Bay. The Bay is my home. My whole family lives here. And so it feels strange to leave it. And I can't imagine really living anywhere else. But I feel like there's some good opportunity in doing something different, doing something to make myself uncomfortable, something I'm not used to, seeing how I react in a different scenario. Be kind of living in the country too, so it'll be just like a totally different thing. But yeah, I think that I lived in San Francisco for 10 years, and the last couple of years I just noticed how much it was changing and how different things felt. And I felt like there was not a lot of room to be as creative as I wanted to be, you know? And that is definitely how I've structured my life. And maybe I could structure it differently. But as things were, you know, trying to pay the bills and everything else, it sort of necessitated having a part-time job. So I felt like taking that out of the equation, doing something different was exactly what I needed to do. So, yeah, okay.
So, my name is Hi, and maybe grab the mic. My name is Hi, and it's a really, really beautiful film. It's beautiful how it begins with your identity as a waitress, and like that's your identity, and then how your identity sort of transforms and evolves and diversifies throughout the entire film. So I want to ask you about sort of a level of basic income in terms of the choices that you make living in the Bay Area. What types of choices could you make differently with $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever of basic income?
Well, I think if that was my only income, I would have to adjust sort of my priorities around eating organic and just how I get around and what I do for fun and kind of the things that take money that I enjoy spending money on, but I can because I have something else to do or I have another job. I think that I'm lucky because I already live in a place with cheap rent, but yeah, I think that's sort of like one of the biggest factors is being able to afford somewhere to live where you don't have to spend a lot of money. I would probably have to change the way just my general lifestyle. But I feel like I'm getting ready to do that anyway, because it gets time. So, yeah.
Excellent.
I actually meant to say this earlier. Rose is also a friend of mine from years ago. We went to high school together. So I'm doubly fortunate. So we've heard stories about the big picture, about why basic income is something that we need for society, something that we need to address poverty. We've gone into a little bit of detail about what that means for real people. You know, poverty isn't just your bank account, it's whether or not you know where you're gonna sleep tonight. Like our neighbors over on Division right now, we're gonna be sleeping in a tent. You know, that's what poverty means, and having something like basic income means that no one ever does that. No one who doesn't have a particular interest in sleeping under a bridge or in a tent outside an urban area or some kind of urban camping expedition like that. No one ever has to do that because they don't want to. Basic income is about this idea of having something like a universally prosperous society where it doesn't mean that everyone has the same amount of money, it just means that no one is ever poor. Everyone can always pursue their highest interests, their goals in their life, their greatest potential to contribute to their community, to humanity. And it means that no one ever falls too far below. No one ever hits the ground. There's always a cushion above that. So if someone's in an abusive relationship, they can walk. If someone is in an abusive relationship with their boss, like if it's a place where they don't have insurance or people are not paying them what they deserve, they can just leave. And it also works in the opposite direction as well, where if an employer has an employee they want to leave or they want to let go, they can just do that without fear of someone's life being ruined by not having an income. So basic income lets us all kind of move forward to a place where we can all pursue the next step of our life, the sort of higher interests that we have. In the work that we've done, we've heard from, I want to say, it's something more or less. So many entries we had. And so we've heard from all these different people what they would and so we hear, some I would probably, someone else says, pay down the other. But we also get people who write in stories and they say things like, if I had this amount of money, I would be able to get myself out of homelessness. And to go into some detail, in 2007, this person was on disability, and then they tried to move to a place where they had more friends, more family, more community, and they lost their disability because of a bureaucratic issue. They couldn't get to an appointment. And because they lost disability, they went into homelessness. Because they didn't have security of their home, then it sort of dominoed into the situation where they were living on someone else's roof, experiencing abuse from strangers, being homeless, and they're only kind of finally now barely in a place where they have a stable someone else to rely on. And then there were some other details about how that housing is getting complicated as well. And all they want to do is just be able to get to a place where they can get off of disability, get a job, and sort of maybe change the education that they've had and contribute something to their community and their society. And that's what we're trying to do with it. And with this project specifically, what we're trying to do is get those stories from people and then bring them back to all of you, to the community, and to the world, so that people, if you hear basic income and it's abstract, you might think, oh, people will just do this and just do that, end of story. You have a simplistic idea of it, like we all do, like I still do. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to color in all that detail about real human beings and how it really impacts people's lives. And I can tell you from what I've read, it is so much more diverse than I even still understand. I'm always surprised by the nuance of people's experiences, the variety of the challenges, and it's pretty rough sometimes. Just the different challenges that people they have, and then also the dreams that people have. There was someone who, they have a project to create self-sustaining farms that you can fit in a room that will feed a person with basically no work input. That would be really cool. I wish that person had full time to devote to this so that I could have a farm in my spare bedroom. I would also like to have a spare bedroom, but so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get this to people who haven't heard about basic income, which are using a sweepstakes because everyone likes free money. And in fact, we've got a lot of press and a lot of outreach from organizations that just talk about sweepstakes. We have people who've never heard about it before. And we've also got a bunch of different write-ups in the press. We talked to Vice earlier today. We did an interview, Greg and I, and Jim actually as well, did an interview with Japanese national television, which is pretty cool. So now they have one more perspective. And like I said, we've reached over 3,000 people just the entrance, then maybe tens of thousands more people just coming to our website. And then we get to tell all of you in the community about those individual stories.
And
yes,
we want to do it again.
Yes.
So now's the part where we ask you for some money.
This is why this guy is so amazing. He always knows everything and he says better. So we're looking to raise the next $15,000 tonight. So we divide that by everyone here. That's like $20 each. No big deal. It's probably more than that, but
pretty soon anyway.
Yeah. So we are trying to raise another 15 grand. We are actually about 1,000 of the way already there from the fundraising that we've done since. And so we are looking for people to come in and donate here right now. Everyone has a phone or credit card, so you all can do this. I believe in you.
So everybody take out your phone. Everybody take out your credit card, your phone.
I don't know what mine is.
I almost said credit card, but I meant phone.
Yes.
So all your phones, you'll need them for the next part.
So is anyone here able to, I have to ask, is anyone here able to come in for maybe $15,000, just a cool $15,000? No? Someone's pointing their hand in the back there.
Ma'am,
No?
the 15,000.
Owen, 15 grand? Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that. He's on it though. He's on for it. We're just gonna talk about details later. So a little bit more accessible. Is anyone here able to do $500?
$500. $500. But anything's been willing to.
Jim Q. He's my new best friend.
Thanks to Universal Income Project.
Thank you, Jim. Anyone else come in $500? You know you want to. Or what about, say, $200?
$200. Do we have $200?
$200. It's like pretty accessible.
For the.
Yes.
Ooh.
You, sir.
Thank
Sir?
you. What's your name so we can say name?
Come on up. Come on up. Hey, I'm Cameron.
Yeah, you're on. Nice to meet you.
Aaron.
Yeah, where do I do this?
Maybe all bow. We should all bow.
Aaron. Thank you, Aaron.
All bow.
We'll actually we'll follow up with you in a second here.
We'll totally do this. Yeah.
I want to say something real quick. I grew up very, very poor. A couple of things that I just want to point out. There's kind of anger that stays with you for a very long time. It just this inaccessibility of everything just kind of frustrates you, and then just changes who you are fundamentally. And the other thing too is a lot of people and human capital that we have can be greatly utilized if it wasn't for poverty. And there's great examples of this in history as well. If you look at, one of the greatest scientists and minds in the world, Isaac Newton, he was taken in by a university who recognized his talent. And we make progress through these inflections of individuals, and we never know where those individuals are going to come from. And that could be the person, the next child in India, someone in Germany, it could be from anywhere. So you have to maximize your ability to reach out to those people to allow them to engage in their potential. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait 500 years or 1,000 years for that next great progress to happen. So I just want you guys to know that. Yeah.
Basic income is venture capital for the people.
Also true. So does anyone else want to join Aaron and come in at $200?
$200.
$200.
Oh
my goodness.
Speech.
One up, Ben. Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
I guess my main question is this effective altruism? I'm going to count it as that. I guess I probably spent $200 over Memorial Day weekend on booze and food and something on Amazon. So I think I can probably afford this, but I'm not rich, and I don't really think the data is all that necessary in terms of Y Combinator. I think that this is just a no-brainer. Regardless of data, it's going to have to happen. And I want to see it happen sooner rather than later. So.
Sure.
So what about, is there someone else going for 200 to see a hand? Oh, this is too much. Come up. No? I'm still gonna intro you, just a little bit. So that's my beautiful mother, because of course, Lorraine Walker. She is one of those people that provides. This actually goes a lot off of what Aaron was saying as well. She is one of those people who provides a kind of basic income in kind, the sort of support and the ground and the cushion that someone needs from which they can do the things they want to do in their life. And so thank you for being that for me and for being here today as well. All right, so what about 100? Anybody 100? You sir? Hey, Jared. Thanks, Jared. He's holding a camera doing important work, which means that he's actually helping out doubly. So thank you, doubly, Jared. Jared thinks basic income is awesome. Thinks everyone here should donate at least $100. He can't talk right now, so I'll talk for him. Thank you, Jared. So what about $50? Coming in at 50. Owen, we got so many hands. Everybody who raised their hand, just come up here. Everybody who raised their hand, you sir as well. I haven't met you yet. Oh, right. Yes. All right, so we got an Owen, and a Jason, and a Brian. These are all great people. I haven't met you yet. Raul. So we got Tom, Raul, Owen, Jason, and Brian. Give them a hand.
Say one super quick thing. Two very exciting links came my way today about the basic income. One was that Y Combinator is funding this experiment in Oakland. Very, very exciting. The other one was that I saw an op-ed in the New York Times against the universal basic income. And this is exciting because they've already done the rounds of pro-basic income op-eds. You can go search for them. But now this movement is big enough that people know what it is and feel the need to argue against it, which is a legitimate milestone in the movement. So be excited about that. It's happening.
Hey, I've probably got a lot to say, but I'll keep it short. First of all, thanks to Cameron and whomever else is involved for organizing this. This is a little silly. Why don't I just take it off, eh? Yeah, take it all off. All right. I guess the crux of it is that I think the kind of desperation is a mindset that having no baseline of support puts a lot of people into. And I don't have $50 to give, but I will. And I think that, you know, if anything, universal basic income can take people out of that mindset, because $50 might be a few hours of work that on one day might seem like, you know, an impossible task. I live in a bus because I can't afford rent. But I know that soon enough, that will be like an easy thing for me. And if something like universal basic income was around, we'd be putting many more people into a psychology that's generative and that will allow them to think about, you know, the fact that they will be able to put in $50 or have that level of basic life support. So I guess that's why I'm getting up here today. So cheers.
I'm going to be a bit more practical. Me and my partner Alexis are working on a project to basically combine different elements of how we could actually implement this in the Bay Area, combining a land rent solution with also a guaranteed income kind of citizens dividend. If anybody's interested in that, please come out to the Tuesday happy hours. There's actually some interesting work that Bay Area could come up with a really crazy, awesome solution, and I'd like to see if anybody wants to participate in that. So please join us. How do we publicize a happy hour? What's the easiest way to find the happy hour?
Just check out Universal Income Project on Facebook.
Yeah, that's the Universal Income Project on Facebook. That's where you can find happy hours about basic income here in San Francisco. Cool. Good thing I'll say. Oh, Jared, there you are. Yes.
One of the things that really sticks out to me that about a subset of the population, or actually I think a lot of us are affected by, is mental health issues. And a lot of y'all know that I've talked about this before, but I just think that somebody I think mentioned earlier, the kind of crippling anxiety that comes from having to live in the constant fear that you can't provide for yourself, or that you can't compete in maybe an insufficient job market, or that maybe you have some form of mental health issues that are either emotionally or psychologically preventing you from really taking part in the workforce in a meaningful way. Not to mention the kind of so much work that is not particularly meaningful to so many people. So I don't personally know what the right solution is, but I'm excited to support this, and I care about this movement because it seems like a strong shot in the dark in the face of a lot of kind of systemic tyranny that I hope will raise the conversation. I'm super honored to be part of this movement here, and thank you all for coming and contributing this energy. It's incredible.
All right, so I think that was 50. What about 20, 25? Do y'all want to grab the bacon? We probably should run this at some point. But, we're all having fun, right?
I'm going to limit this right now because I've had a good amount to drink. This is long iced tea. It's pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you as well. So that was 25. What about 10? Anybody want to donate $10? It's easy. Bye, Greg. Charlotte, do you want to say anything? I'll be the mic over. Okay. That's everything.
4 years ago, I had an accident, and then I had to leave my job. So now I'm on SSI, and I'm in the danger of becoming homeless because they don't have accessible housing, housing for wheelchairs. And I just want to know, how soon is this going to be in effect for everybody? How soon do you think? $10 years, 15 years?
It's really hard to say. So you guys probably heard her question. It was when is this going to be happening, right? When is this finally going to happen? I think that's kind of the most important question that we all have to ask. How quickly can we make this happen? Which is the reason why I work on our project, which is why there's lots of other people working on different sort of angles at advocating for basic income. I wish I knew. I'm hoping, 5 to 10 years to see actual some government level ones in the United States. But I also don't work for Congress people. I don't know what they're thinking about it, what they're planning on doing. I don't run their campaigns or decide what they get elected on. All of us here in this room are part of the people that elect them. And if we bother them enough about it, then we will just do it. Especially if we join with other Americans that are conservatives we might not agree with on other topics. If we just get everyone and we say, look, yeah, we might not agree about A through Y, but Z, basic income, is really, really important. So let's just all bother all of our politicians about it. It's definitely not a left or right issue. It's one that you can simplify government with it. You can also protect everyone from poverty. So those are left and right issues, and we can just do that. Thank you so much for sharing. So I think now we're going to actually give this money away. We've been talking a lot about it. And for that is Greg.
Hey, y'all. So we're going to give this money away. Thank you, everybody, so much for doing this. We have two different options, by the way, for people who want to support us. We are raising money for people that want to give consistently on Patreon. You can also just give one time on our website. If you go to the donate page, you can get either option there. And I just want to say, in addition to giving money, the thing that's really exciting about this is that what we're trying to do is build a network. We're trying to get people who like this idea, who want to help use this sweepstakes giveaway model as a way to create this momentum. So, getting involved with helping spreading the word on social media, talking to your friends about it, getting them involved to sign up when we do our next drawing, getting them involved to donate and spread the word and whatnot. So that's what's really exciting about this to me. So before we do our drawing, just a couple kind of quick statements about the spirit of what we're doing. So First of all, the idea with universal basic income is unconditional. So our people who are applying don't have to like do any special thing to apply except say what they do with the guaranteed income, right? Like we're not reviewing who's got the best application. We are just going to do it at random. The winners don't have to give us anything in return, and there's no strings attached, including like we're not going to require our winner to speak to the press. If they want to remain anonymous, it's totally fine for them to do that. Of course, we are totally excited if they want to speak to the press. We're definitely hoping, whoever you are out there, if you win, that you would love to speak with us. And if you want to do that, then we'll give you the chance to do it. And if not, then that's totally fine too, because this is all about the spirit of giving unconditionally. So tonight we're just going to say our first name of the person who wins, and then if we can successfully pull it up on our database, we're having just a little bit of trouble with this information. We'll also say their state and what they said they would do with the money. Cameron, if you get a chance, if you can pull that information up on the database, we'll see if we can do that. We might just get the name. But anyway, here's how this is going to work. We've got 3,128 entrants, and they all are going to have an equal chance of winning. And the way this is going to happen is that we are going to flip a coin, and then we are going to spin this wheel 3 times. So this is a 14-point wheel here. And so 14 times 14 times 14 times 2. No, we spent a lot of time thinking about the math. I'll keep it simple. 14 times 14 times 14 times 2 is 5,488 possibilities. So some of these are going to be blanks, right? We've got about a 2 in 5 chance that when we spin the wheel, we're going to get something that there's not an entry, and that's going to be great because we'll just build a lot of suspense. So the first thing we want to do is get somebody who wants to be a volunteer, somebody who's got a coin in their pocket. Can anybody check their pocket for a coin? Who's going to come up? Okay, come on up. Hi, and we're going to have Hi flip the first coin, and then it's going to be verified by another member of the audience. Can we get another member of the audience to verify? Yes, come on up, ma'am. So Hi's going to flip the coin, and what's your name, ma'am? What's your name? Tara. Tara? Farah. Farah, yeah, did I say it right? Yeah. Okay, great. So Hi's going to flip the coin, and Farah's going to tell us whether it's heads or tails. Okay, ready? Here we go.
It has a head, liberty. God, we trust.
Okay. It's heads. Hooray for heads! Most of the heads entries are blanks, so we're just going to see what happens. So the first entry on our wheel. Can everybody see the wheel? Oh, hey guys, could you scoot over a little bit because we want to get it on the live stream. Okay. Hey, Jim, or somebody, can you pull that live stream up a little bit? Because we can't really see the wheel very well, and we've got it mounted on the stage. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Closer. Closer. Okay, there you go. Good, good, good. Okay. Can we get a little drum roll sound here? Heads, 2. We got entries for H2. We got entries for H2. Yay! Working on the Kermit the Frog voice there. All right. So I'm going to spin this 2 more times. H2. H2, 3. Anybody in the room got H23 for their entry? No, okay. Just notice that the My Basic Income tag is upside down. There we go. It's right side up. Okay, and for our do we got entries for H23? Yeah. Okay. Our final number in the My Basic Income sweepstakes is going to be one of these numbers, and here it goes. Drum roll, drum roll. Oh, it's on 11. Does anybody want to come verify that this is like just barely on 11? It's really, really close to 12. But if you can see it, it's It's 11. I mean, it's just on the 11 side. It's too much? It's too much? Oh, okay.
6 or lower.
6 or lower. Okay, so that means we can't just respin it again. Unfortunately, we have to do the whole thing over. I mean, fortunately, we have to do the whole thing over. And it may seem like a drag if you're here in the room right now or watching in the live stream, but the truth is that this gives everybody an equal chance. So, really quickly, someone with a coin in their pocket, come on up. Different person. New person with a coin, come on up. Anybody? Coin, 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 coin. Tim, come on up. You got a coin in your pocket. Coin. Okay. You got, and somebody else come up to verify it. We're going again. That was a blank space, and we're going to redo it. No. New person. We got Tanya. Okay, and
Heads.
heads. Okay. To me, more heads, and you know, we're going to be here for a while. All right. We got H. Next time we'll do it with bingo. H2. H2. H22. I think if you got a coin in your pocket, we might have to do it again. H223. That work for us, Cameron? All right, so woo, everybody go woo. I was so worried this was going to be anticlimactic. This is great. Okay, so do we have a name and information, or should I find out on my phone mysteriously? We did this, like we know how to do this, so you can trust that we know what we're doing here. Kind of.
I have it here.
You have it here. Okay. Okay. Pull it up. We'll see who gets to it first. H. Okay. Well, what do you have? H223. I kind of want the satisfaction of knowing how my technology works. Oh my God! I totally found it. H223. You have everything. Okay. Oh my God! Is it Edwin?
Yes.
It's Edwin. Okay. It's Edwin. No, it's Edwin here. You can't pretend that you're Edwin. That won't work. Okay, Edwin. Where's Edwin? Tell us a little bit about Edwin. Because we're like only going to tell you their name, where they're from, and what they said they would do with their life if their income was guaranteed. For anonymity's sake, because we don't know whether Edwin wants people to know or not.
Yeah. So he's from Sarasota.
Edwin is from Sarasota, in the country of the United States of America. One of our very own. In the US. Where is Sarasota? I feel so ignorant about geography right now. Okay.
West Coast of Florida.
West Coast of Florida.
There you go.
All right.
Which is actually, this makes it really funny. So it's Florida. That's what we're deciding? Okay. Maybe. Awesome.
Okay. And so what would Edwin do with his life if his income was guaranteed down there in Florida?
Extra funny for someone who lives in Florida. He wrote.
Hang on a second.
So extra funny for someone who lives in Florida. He wrote, "Save it for a rainy day." So I guess that's like tomorrow or the next day or every day in Florida. So congratulations to Edwin in Sarasota.
Okay, so can everybody in the room say, I'm going to pan this around so Edwin gets a big congratulations from all of us here in San Francisco from My Basic Income. Everybody say, congratulations, Edwin.
Congratulations,
All right. We now return the live stream to its regularly scheduled location. I think I knocked the plug out. If somebody is smart about technology, you can plug it in on the laptop. Yeah, and then now we're going to say something sort of like conclusive sounding. I think Cameron has it planned out. And then we're going to schmooze and throw some more money at the Minute Gallery. Thanks to Minute Gallery for hosting this event. Thanks so much, Minna. Really, it's amazingly amazing. And so that's great. Okay, hey, so wrap it up, Cam. Take it home.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for learning about basic income. Thank you for supporting the projects. We need all those things. We need people to learn about basic income. We need people to understand why it makes sense. And to, don't be mad or upset if someone says this is why it won't work. Just say, okay, well, that's an interesting idea. Let's troubleshoot it. Let's figure out why you think it won't work. Let's see if we can make it work. This is not a reason why not to proceed. It's a reason to learn, to explore, to iterate, and to overcome problems and challenges. So thank you for coming. Thank you for learning about this. Thank you for supporting us. And I think we thanked everyone else already. We did a lot of thinking in the beginning.
Maybe there's a list and we need to do like one more thing and send everybody home. We're gonna say like,
oh yeah, look up the Universal Income Project. Come to the happy hours, we'll see you there. Go to our website, mybasicincome.org, sign up for the next sweepstakes, which is already live right now. And then we'll hear from you then, and we'll see you at the next one of these.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, and a round of applause for you.
effectively plug for Universal Income?